Today you're going to make a column graph that shows the data of the distance that your planes flew on each flight when you flew them on the turf. Your column graph will look a little bit like this, and I'm about to show you how. To start with, you'll need to go to your Google Drive and click on New. Then you're going to open up Google Sheets. You'll need to give your Google Sheet a name, and you'll need to put your name in there. So starting with your name and then adding paper planes afterwards. Now make sure that you share it with your teacher. So clicking on sharing, and share it with your teacher so they can see what you are doing today. Okay, once that's shared, we'll go along to our columns. So we start with column A, and we're going to type in here the flight numbers of our plane. So flight 1, flight 2, and you can see as I start clicking on flight, did come up before, but never mind. Flight 3 and flight 4, you could copy and paste if you like. I find this is pretty quick anyway. Flight 5. Next to these flights, I'm going to type in the distance that my plane flew each time I threw it. Okay, so now I've got each flight with the distance that each plane flew. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to highlight my data. So it's all highlighted in blue. Then I'm going to head over to the Insert Chart icon. And when I click on that, you'll see that a chart has been made for me. It doesn't quite look like our finished result. So we're going to have a play around and see what we can do with this chart. I'm going to go to Customization. And I'm going to give my chart a title. So paper plane distances. And again, I'm going to put my name in here just in case I print this page out. It's much easier to have a name there. And I'm going to click on Insert. When I insert, my graph appears next to my data, and I can click and drag and move it around onto my spreadsheet. Now I'm going to click on the drop-down box and go to Advanced Edit, where I get to do very similar things. I want to explore and make my chart look great. So I'm going to scroll down. I could give my horizontal axis a title. So here's the horizontal axis, and I might call that title Number of Flights. And update. So there's my title down there. Back to, now if I click on the graph, I get back to the option to click on Advanced Edit. And now I'm going to give my left vertical axis a title, and that's the number or distance, the distance that my plane flew. Distance flew. And update. There we go. Or I think that's pretty ordinary grammar, so I'm going to fix that up, and I'll change that to distance of flight. So I'll head back down to vertical axis, the left vertical axis, distance of flight. All right. Oh, that looks pretty good. Now you'll see this is where we can have some fun. I've got column number 1. I don't want, before I can do this, sorry, I'm going to go up to chart types. I'm going to play around with a few things here. I'm going to click and see what happens when I click on that box. Nothing. Interesting, but I'm missing a flight, so I don't want that one. Or when I click on Use Column A as headers, now my column A, you can see that next to the keys, but I've only got 4 flights and I need 5. So I'll unclick that one, and voila, there's 5 flights. I've got switch rows to columns and use column A as headers. Now you can see I've got a key. Flight 1 is blue, Flight 2 is red, etc. As I move my mouse, my cursor along each of the columns, you can see it actually tells me the exact distance that my plane flew. I can do better than that. I'm going to go back to customization, and I'm going to go to find my data labels down here, and I'm going to pop value on there. Now, if I print this out, I've got the data labels too. The other thing that I can have a little bit of fun with is changing the colours of my graph if I want to. I think that looks quite fine. But just to show you how, if I click on all columns and I go to flight 1 and I decide I don't want blue for flight 1, I might want fluoro green. There's my fluoro green. I can do that to flight 2. I might go with a bit of a fluoro theme, and there's my fluoro blue. And I could continue until I'm happy with what my chart looks like, how my chart looks. I click on update, and then the last thing we're going to do today is click on the drop down box again and go to move to own sheet. Now you'll see down the bottom of Google Spreadsheets that you've got sheet 1 with your data and sheet 2 with your chart. You don't need to save, it's saved as we've gone along, and you have completed today's activity. Well done.